Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and good afternoon to all of you listening. How's it going? We're live. Your Ben Joravsky Show for Thursday. What is today? Okay, March 18th. We'll get there. Your Ben Joravsky Show for Thursday, March 18th is just moments away. But before we do this, we need to thank our sponsors. Sponsors like SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana. The Chicago Federation of Labor are sponsors, as well as our good friends at the Chicago Reader. ChicagoReader.com for all things there is to know the city of Chicago. Where to go, what to do, what to eat, how to think politically, what concert to go to. If you're a clueless Chicagoan, get a clue. Subscribe to the Chicago Reader, ChicagoReader.com. Also, ChicagoReader.com/Joravsky, J-O-R-A, V as in victory, S-K-Y, for our endless archive of Ben Joravsky shows. Guys, we're about like 950 episodes. We're insane. All right, so if you've missed a few episodes, go check it out, chicagoreader.com/Joravsky. Also, if you enjoy this program and you're like, boy, I want to help out these two fellers, this guy in the apartment and that other guy in the attic, I want to help them out. Well, you can. chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, and you can become a binhead. Yeah, not a pinhead, but a binhead. See what we did there? See what we did there?
You're used to a pinhead.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story. But a binhead. That's what we're calling avid listeners of our program. Are you a binhead? Yeah. Well, prove it. ChicagoReader.com/Joravsky. A 3-tier system. All right. You can become an alley. You can be in the alley. All right. You can be on the avenue, or you can be living large on Benny Boulevard. All right. 3 tiers. COVID. Okay, that's still, although a year in, still not a good job. Go to chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, become a binhead, help out the Ben Joravsky Show, and if you become an Avenue or Boulevard member, you will get a deal on the latest book from our very own Ben Joravsky. It's his greatest hits, covering 40 years, 4 decades of Chicago politics. It's a fantastic book. Go check it out. It's available now. But like I said, if you become a member, a binhead, you will get a deal on that book. So go check it out. All right. I think we're good to go. Ben, you do have a song of the day. For new listeners, yes, that's what we do. We have our host just butcher a song. Our theory is let's just fall flat on our face in the beginning, and it's all, it's all good from there.
Technically, it's to make sure the mic is working, right? Remember that was the original reason?
Yeah, to make sure the live stream chat can hear us.
Yeah, and now it's just, let's humiliate our host.
Yeah, that's true. All right, your song of the day, Alice Cooper, School's Out.
Ooh, Alice Cooper. Remember Alice Cooper from back in the day, late 60s, early 70s, a lot of hits. WLS, WCFL, number 18 and rising fast. School's
over
out
40 years. Summer. Over 40 years, guys. He's old.
School's out forever. All right. Wait, hold it, D. What? I got to say something before you do the introduction. Thank you, readers. I was voted favorite pod show host and podcast host.
Really?
I can't even say it. I'm so excited. Yeah, and the readers best of.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Ben Joravsky Show and Ben Joravsky host. So thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Really good. That made my day yesterday.
Who got best podcast producer?
There was no category in that, but it was like a secret vote that they had, and a guy named Dr. D was victorious. Hear that, B-E-Z?
Guys, B-E-Z. I'm not Dr. D. If you look in the stack of resumes, it'll say Dennis. All right? Still waiting for that call. Come on, B-E-Z. Come on.
Anyway, thank you very much.
The award-winning Ben Joravsky Show starts now. It is Thursday, March 18th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, we're switching it up on you, huh? Keeping you on your toes, listeners. It's Rummana Hussain with a Thursday Rummana Rundown. And now your host. He won an award. Chicago Reader columnist Ben Jarofsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Jarofsky here. We're calling this Madoff Shots Thursday, and here's why. Great story by young Dan Mialopoulos and Christian Sorch on WBEZ. That would be young Dan, the bulldog. Ruff, ruff, ruff. The meanest, toughest investigative reporter in the yard.
Oh, someone get him on the chain. The kids are scared.
Hey, BZ, you hear those special effects, huh? Hear that sound effects?
Oh, it's me trying to get the job at BEZ.
BZ, I want to be a sound effects guy, please. Anyway, Dan and Christian, heck of a job. Danny was our guest. Just want to promote this last week on the Ben Jarofsky Show. We talked about machine politics and corruption in Chicago. Check it out, everybody. He, of course, a great investigative reporter. And the gist of the story that they wrote is that Loretto Hospital, follow me this, is sort of making use of its supply of vaccine as like a way, I don't know, to curry favor with the powers that be in Chicago, you know, sort of, maybe, allegedly. Few things you should know. Loretto was on the west side in a mostly black Austin community that's been hit hard by the pandemic. In a just and wise society, we'd be doing absolutely everything, going door to door if necessary, to make sure that the most vulnerable among us have been vaccinated. But as we all know, our society is neither just nor particularly wise. And so, for reasons that no one seems to quite want to quantify, they're not able to reach all the people who are eligible, even if those people live right down the streets and they have a leftover supply of vaccines to offer, as in an offer we can't refuse, to all Cook County judges and their, I don't know, spouses. They get a judge and one. And one. Come on down, Loretto, and get your shot. That screeching sound you just heard is Dennis hopping into his little red Ferrari to race over to Loretto for his shot. Yo, D, you're a doctor, not a judge, okay?
I own a bicycle. I don't have a car.
Hold on. That ringing sound is Dennis's bicycle bell. Ring, ring, as he pedals furiously up Kimball Avenue. Got to get to Loretto. Get that vaccine. What a thought. Are you wearing your helmet these days, Dennis? Getting worried about you not wearing that helmet. Wear that helmet. Where was I? Back to Dan's great investigation and Kristen's great investigation. The revelation of Dan and Christian comes one day after the revelation that Loretto had been offering shots to workers at Trump Tower. We'll get into that a little bit. That's what we call a tease in the radio game.
Nice work. I see why you got that award.
Folks at BEZ right now are going, whoa, this guy knows his stuff. He knows what a tease is. Oh,
my God, what a tease.
I've never seen anything like this. It's extraordinary for a podcast. No wonder he was the number one guy in the reader poll.
I'm never getting that job at BEZ.
I'm doing the best I can for you. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, yeah. So the judges flocking over to Loretto. Dan and Christian had a field day pointing out that few, if any, of the judges actually live on the west side. One they mentioned lived on the Gold Coast. But if they have to go to Austin to get the shot, then to Austin they will go. In their defense, a spokeswoman for the judges says that if the judges didn't take the vaccines would go bad, as there's a shelf life for vaccines. So rather than throw away good vaccines, give them to the judges. Meanwhile, over at Roseland Hospital on the south side, according to the Sun-Times, half the workers at Roseland who could get the shot right now just by showing up to work aren't getting it. They have their reasons. Some don't trust the shot. Some don't trust the government. It's similar with prison guards in Georgia, a story I read yesterday, and Troy and I were talking about. That would be Troy LaRaviere. yesterday's guest. Check out that show if you haven't already.
ChicagoReader.com, wherever else you download podcasts.
That's correct. By the way, a total tangent up on Prince. Totally, completely unexpected tangent, talking politics, school openings in the city of Chicago, the racial implications of them with Troy LaRaviere, and next thing you know, 10 minutes on Prince. Did not realize Troy LaRaviere knew so much about the great Prince. Anyway, similar with prison guards in Georgia, as I was talking about with Troy. That article broke yesterday. Less than half of them are getting their shots, even though they can get it right now because they're eligible frontline employees. And then there's the half of the country that doesn't even think it needs shots. They think the vaccine is a hoax. They think it was made up by Democrats to discredit Donald Trump. They held and opened the school rally in Naperville just the other day, and their leader, Darren Bailey, State Senator Darren Bailey, he showed up and gave a speech, and of course he didn't wear a mask. And I'm wondering, did Darren Bailey get a shot? Donnie Trump got a shot. Did Darren Bailey quietly get a shot? Dan and Kristen, I'm saying that could be your next great investigation. Start working. So in summation, the people who can get the shot right now without any hassle, just by showing up to work, in many cases aren't getting the shot. And the people who can't get the shot automatically are moving heaven and earth to get one. What's going on here, you ask? I'll tell you what it is. It's the Madoff Theory.
That is correct.
Little late there, Bailey. Come on.
DB! The Madoff Theory, so named for Bernie Madoff, one of the great con men of our time. In fact, I'd say Bernie is right behind Donald Trump, who is without doubt the greatest con man of the 21st century. Though if Darren Bailey manages to convince the voters of Illinois to elect him governor, I think he moves ahead of Madoff into second place right behind Trump. Madoff's theory is that if you make something easy to get, people won't appreciate its value, even if it's very valuable. They'll think, if I can get it, how good can it be? They'll wonder, there must be a catch. They'll be suspicious. But if you make it hard to get, even if it's not particularly valuable, they'll want it. And so this is how Bernie operated. He'd take a call from a rich guy who would say, Bernie, I'd like to give you 10 million of my dollars to invest. And Bernie would say, sorry, I can't take it. I got to turn you down. I have too many investors already. I can't take another. And then the guy would go, please, Bernie, please take my money. I'll make it 20 million. And Madoff will go, oh, all right, if you insist. But don't tell anybody I'm doing this. It's only for you. And so it was that Bernie reeled them in like a great fisherman bringing in a tuna. That's the fish, Steve. That's how you do sound effects, B-Easy. You watching?
Give me that tuna. Come here. Yeah. Get it.
You too, WTTW. I think I forgot you guys.
All right, I still actually legit may have a shot at that, so let's not do that.
Sorry. And GN, you too.
Let's reel it back on that, huh?
Okay. Oh, yeah, Dennis will be at Zany's later tonight. Anyway, you reel them in like a big tuna on the line. We are a crazy people, ladies and gentlemen. I love my country. It's the only one I know. But I got to tell you, we lost our collective minds many years ago. We got a great show today, everybody. As Dennis said, Rummana Hussain will be here. I know it's confusing. Usually she's here on Friday. Today she's on a Thursday. She was nice enough to make an adjustment to accommodate the guests we have lined up for tomorrow. Should I tease that guestie, or should I just let kind of, what do you think? What would B-Easy do at this stage?
Well, B-Easy wouldn't discuss on the air whether to tease it or not. So I mean,
right now the program director at B-Easy is like, I am horrified, absolutely horrified.
We're very loosums goosums here on the Ben Joravsky Show.
So let's just say we have an outstanding guest today, Rummana Hussain, and an outstanding guest tomorrow with a certain someone that I will not reveal at the moment because good radio is you leave the listener wondering.
I mean, we're not on the radio. We're
we used to be on the radio, remember?
yeah.
And then they said, "Come here, son. Get out of here." Ooh, okay. Anyway.
Oh yeah, they fired you. I forgot about it.
Yeah. Ah, yes. The glory days, getting fired. Folks, getting fired is not so bad. It really isn't, you know.
So wait, you're saying we're gonna make Friday's guest a mystery?
Yes.
Cool.
It's a mystery. I know who it is. Rummana know who oh, I can't even say that. Rummana knows who it is. But no one else knows. Oh, and the guest knows who it is, but no one else.
Ooh,
it's a mystery.
Guys. Oh my.
I can't wait. Personally, I want to know who it is. Oh, wait a minute.
Jay Marie, no, it's not Lori Lightfoot, all right? We'll just...
No, kill that one right now, Jay Marie.
In your dreams, Jay Marie.
Lori Lightfoot's attitude toward this show right now is sort of like, my attitude toward the Chicago Bulls in the fourth quarter last night. I am not, under any circumstances, talking about the Bulls today. That will not be a topic of discussion, D. They had a 23-point lead, and they lost the game, and I am not talking about it. Anyway, Lori Lightfoot's attitude toward my show is a little like... Jay Marie, I'm going to tell you right now, I do not believe Lori Lightfoot was one of the voters who cast their vote for this show, Best Podcast. Nope. Don't think she was, D. I don't think JB was either. You know? So, I don't think any of the politicians voted for me. Anyway, we have a great show today. Before we get to that, the young man from Alton. The man that likes to think of himself as the judge. Judge D with the news.
Oh boy, new nickname, Judge D. We got D Nice, Judge D, Dr. Doobie, White Lightning. Still waiting for just Dennis. One of these days. Hey, also, Brianna, no, it's not Mick Dumke. We got a little guessing game going on the live stream chat right now as to who's tomorrow's guest will be. No, not Mick Dumke, and surprise, not Mayor Lightfoot.
Yeah, no, not Mayor Lightfoot, not Andrew Cuomo, not Gavin Newsom. Who are some of the other Dems I've been critical of lately?
Dragon Slayer 19, nope, not Darren Bailey, no.
No, Darren.
I wish.
Not Big D. Gotta feed them hogs. No, not Darren Bailey. And who else? Not Michael Madigan. Michael Joseph Madigan. No, he's not showing up. It's actually someone who I don't believe who's ever been on the podcast. But I'm giving away a little bit there, was a guest on the radio show. The one I got fired from. Anyway.
Ooh. Who could it be? Who could it be? All right, let's do the local news. Let's find out what's happening in Chicago and/or Illinois this afternoon. We begin in Chicago, and we didn't have enough time to cover this story yesterday. And hey, that turned out to be a good thing because we have more to discuss from it today. So first, let's do Wednesday's story.
I'm not a doctor.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times, John Seidel and Stefano Esposito. It says here, the Loretto Hospital, where Ben was talking about this earlier, the Loretto Hospital wrongly vaccinated 72 workers at Trump International Hotel and Tower last week at the request of West Side residents who work there and could not leave their jobs to get the vaccine. This is according to a hospital memo released on Tuesday. Hospital president and CEO George Miller said in the memo that the Austin hospital was at the time, quote, under the impression that restaurant and other frontline hospitality industry workers were eligible for the vaccine in Chicago. Miller said, quote, I now understand, after subsequent conversations with the Chicago Department of Public Health, that we were mistaken. Hospitality workers won't likely become eligible for the shots until March 29th, when the city expects to expand who can get the shots. Now, when I first read this story, Ben, you share your thoughts as well. When I first read the story, I said, "Oh no, wrongfully vaccinated. What they do? Inject them with like gravy or something?" But no, that's not the case, is it, Ben?
Wrong. Yeah, it's a great phrase though. Wrongfully vaccinated. No. Yeah. I presume they gave them the right vaccine, but the wrong in the wrongfully is that the people who got the vaccine hopped to the front of the line. That's the point. See, in our insane system, ladies and gentlemen, instead of providing enough vaccines to vaccinate everybody from this very serious disease that has shut down our economy and racked havoc throughout the world, killed thousands and thousands of people. No, instead of working day and night to get enough vaccines to vaccinate everybody, what they do is they just get enough vaccine to vaccinate a select few. And then they offer it to some people who apparently, once you offer it to them, turn it down because, like, if you're offering it to me, it's got to be bad. And then they limit its access to everybody else. And so people are like trampling their grandmothers to get at it. Let me get at that thing. So, yes, somehow or other, the powers that be that run Loretto Hospital decided that the employees of Trump Tower, ladies and gentlemen, Trump Tower, which is the epitome of what? Wretched deals in Chicago, right in the middle of Chicago, the most democratic of cities. You have this enormous tower, which is on prime riverfront property, where my beloved Bright One, by the way, D, I don't know if you knew this is before your time, used to be housed. The Sun-Times building was where Trump Tower. Did you know that? Were you aware of that, young man? No,
I wasn't. Didn't really.
Yeah, the Bright One for many years was right there. So they replaced the Bright One with Trump Tower. They put the name of the man that I would say is the most despised politician in the city of Chicago on the front of it, just to let everybody in Chicago know. Middle finger up. I'm not swearing anymore, D.
Thank you.
Not swearing, okay? No more swearing.
Appreciate it.
I just said middle finger up, okay? Look, just like that. And,
okay, well, you're flipping me off, but that's fine. You just gave me the bird, but hey, keep going. It's cool.
So they thought it'd be a good idea, the powers that be in the city of Chicago, to let Donnie Trump put his name on a building. Yeah, you, Rahm Emanuel. Yeah, you, Mayor Rahm. You let him do it. You let him get away with it. Talk about inside deals. Trump donated $50,000 to Rahm's campaign. Nobody ever talks about that. Anyway, they allow Trump's name on this building, and then they give it a tax break. And that tax break is engineered by Ed Burke. Can I go on and on? Who was representing Donald Trump? Ed Burke, former chair of the Finance Committee, thought, I know. I'll make money for Trump by allowing him to pay less in taxes, which means everybody else will pay more in taxes to compensate the tax break that I'll give for Trump. I'll get money out of it, and I'll say I'm looking out for the best interests of the taxpayers in my day job as chair of the Finance Committee. And somehow or other, the voters of Chicago thought this was a good idea. I'm going to elect Ed Burke again and again and again.
Oh, which voter is that an impression of?
Just
anyone in particular?
Chicago voter.
No, just typical.
Okay. This is just Chicago voter. Okay. I will just routinely vote for Ed Burke and Rahm Emanuel and Richie Daley and Pat O'Connor because I'm just a Chicago voter and I don't really know anything. But I think MAGA hat people in Wisconsin are stupid. Wait a minute, D. Didn't I promise I wasn't going to shame Chicago voters anymore? Didn't I make that pledge and promise? I think I did.
Yeah.
I want to humbly apologize to all the millennial lefty journalists that I promised I would not shame voters.
Our apologies, but it's going to happen again in about 15 minutes.
Anyway, so here you got this tower that's the epitome of everything that's wrong with Chicago. And the guy who lives in the tower, one of the guys who live in the tower, happens to be a high-ranking official at Loretto Hospital. So somehow or other, the people who work at this tower got shots. All right? And this gentleman, what's his name? I just lost it. Ahmed, claims that he had nothing to do with the people getting shots the workers getting shots at Trump Tower, getting pushed at the end of to the head of the line. He had nothing to do with it, ladies and gentlemen. And it was a decision of a person lower down in the pecking order at Loretto who thought, oh, people who work at places like Trump Tower should be at the front of the line. Like there's no other restaurants or bars or hotels in Chicago. I don't know, D. I'm a little suspicious about this. Just a little suspicious about this. But maybe I'm jaded and cynical.
I mean, of course.
And I tested very positively in another sense. So this morning, yeah, I tested positively toward negative, right? So, no, I tested perfectly this morning. Meaning I tested negative.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. That, of course, is the man you elected president of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, Donald John Trump.
All right, so that was yesterday's news. Now to today's news. Once again, from the Chicago Sun-Times, Mitchell Armentrout and Brett Chase. A, quote, disappointed Mayor Lori Lightfoot on Wednesday chastised executives at the Loretto Hospital who approved a round of COVID-19 vaccinations for employees of the Tony Trump International Hotel and Tower last week, even though they weren't eligible to get the coveted shots. The CEO of the Austin Neighborhood Hospital, which the mayor chose as the site of the city's first ever vaccine dose as a show of commitment to equitable vaccine distribution in low-income communities of color, has said, quote, we were mistaken in letting the 72 hotel workers jump to the front of the line. Lightfoot called it a blunder that can, quote, never be repeated. Here's the quote from Lightfoot, quote, of course, I mean, the quote, of course I was disappointed to hear about it. Loretto has been a tremendous partner with the city. Lightfoot said during a news conference announcing the city's plan to expand eligibility, including to hospitality workers on March 29th. So we got a disappointed mayor on our hands, Ben.
Yes. And she says it could never be repeated, except it was repeated, as Danny Mialopoulos pointed out at WBEZ. Oh, darn. Don't you hate it when things that should never be repeated, D, get repeated? Hate when that happens.
It's the worst.
Oh, yeah. But, one more time, folks, they picked Loretto to make sure that the folks most vulnerable, hit hardest by the COVID, would get first access to the shot. And somehow or other, the folks who worked at Trump Tower, which, again, is the epitome of one of the worst, most wretched deals in Chicago, where Donnie Trump got to put his name on this huge building at a central part of the city after, cozying up to Mayor Rahm. Gets to put his name on that, just filling Chicagoans with so much venom. Somehow or other, the folks who work at Trump Tower get an advantage over everyone else. It just kind of grinds my gears.
Well, that was a good sound effect of gears grinding. John on the live stream chat says, Ben, keep shaming voters. Keep it up.
John, you have to worry. My millennial friends, Ben, don't do it. It's not their fault. It's the system. I got a lot. There's a lot to be said about that. The system is pretty wretched, but I don't know. Come on, Chicago voters. Guys, some of your decisions, just saying. And I say this, Jay Marie, this is for you. I say this, yes, I voted for Lori Lightfoot. Yes, I did, Jay Marie. So kind of shaming myself, D. Kind of shaming myself.
All right, we do have more city news to discuss, but we have some breaking statewide news. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Rachel Hinton. Nearly a year after he issued his first stay-at-home order, Governor J.B. Pritzker announced his plan to reopen the state today as a, quote, bridge phase that includes increasing capacity limits at places like museums and zoos, but also sets thresholds for vaccinations in new COVID-19 caseloads as the state inches toward normalcy with a dial-like approach. The governor also announced the expansion of coronavirus vaccine eligibility to all Illinois residents over 16, except Chicagoans, starting April 12th, along with the new, quote, bridge phase as part of his plan to reopen the state. Here's the quote from Pritzker, quote, although we still are in the midst of a global pandemic, the end seems truly to be in sight. Well, we got an optimistic governor here. The bridge phase will allow for higher capacity limits at museums, zoos, and spectator events, as well as increased business operations. To achieve that stage, the entire state must reach a 70% first dose vaccination rate for residents 65 and over, maintain a 20% or lower ICU bed availability rate, and hold steady on COVID-19 and COVID-like illness hospital admissions, mortality rate, and case rate over a 28-day monitoring period.
All right. We discussed this the other day. Is JB feeling the heat, the pressure? He reads those Rich Miller columns just the way we do. Rich Miller pointed out, one of the shrewdest, smartest observers of politics in the state of Illinois, Rich Miller, pointed out that JB could be in trouble as his lockdown policies are so unpopular in many parts of the state. So if JB doesn't loosen things up a little bit, his reelection could be jeopardized. So that could be going on, D. You go, you know what, guys? You're so eager to get back at it, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. Knock yourself out. Go to the zoo. Go to the museum. Go to the Art Institute. I'm conservative scared, D. I'm not going anywhere until I get that vaccine. I'm just saying that's me. All right. Plus, I'm an old guy. I'm really at risk. And by the way, I don't hold it against any of those judges who are hopping in those red Ferraris right now, shooting up Madison to get to Loretto Hospital. That's what they did. They told us there's only a limited amount, but if you know the right guy, you can get the shot. You go to the head of the line. I think many of us, D, who among us out there? Come on, be honest, everybody. Every single one of you. Who would turn that down? I had a conversation with Dan Mialopoulos about this on the show when he was on, and then I was talking to McDumpke about this, and both of them who are, just like straight shooters said they would never jump to the head of the line. They would always wait their turn. Dennis, I'm going to put it to you.
Yes, what?
Would you jump to the head of the line? You're not eligible because you're young. You're a millennial. So you're like way at the end of the line. But if you got a call, ring-a-ling-a-ding-dong. Yes, this is Dr. D. Yes, it is. If you drop everything and hop on that little bicycle of yours, you come on down to Loretto Hospital in an hour, we'll give you a shot. And you would go, but wait a minute. What about the people who are all eligible who live right next to Loretto? Well, we couldn't reach them, D. And if we don't use this vaccine on you, we'll just throw it away. So you're going to come down? What would you say, Dennis? Go.
I'm good. Thanks. No, thanks. I'm cool. Nope.
Wow. You would say you're like Mick Dumke and Danny Malopoulos?
Yeah. I don't want to jump in the front of the line. No, thanks. I'll wait. It's cool. I'll wait. By the way, Ben, how you feeling? You've had that that shot. You got it like 2 weeks ago. You feeling okay?
I feel okay. By the way, just so everybody knows, I didn't jump at the head of the line. I'm old, okay? Hey, give that guy a shot. I walked in, they go, damn, geezer, how come you weren't here a month ago? They go, wait, are you that guy that's been writing columns for the Readers since Ronald Reagan was president? Yeah, that's me. So anyway, D, I got to give you a lot of credit. No, I'm not having any kind of weird symptoms, as I told you.
Cool.
After the first couple days. But I got to give you a lot of credit. You have a lot of integrity, like Dan and Mick.
I don't know if it's more integrity or me just not really wanting to get this shot.
Okay, at least you're honest. Yeah, Dan and Mick are more like, I would not do it.
Yeah, I'm not in that. Don't throw me in that category. I'm more in the weirdo bunch that kind of thinks this thing's. I'm a little suspicious here.
I get you. No, yeah, yeah, I hear you. But no, I got the shot. I get my next shot in a week. I'm gonna wait 2 weeks ago, and then I'm gonna go over to my friend Cap's house and watch the playoff games and eat pizza and chicken. And that's what I'm looking forward to, man. Can't wait.
So you think that this is maybe a political move from Pritzker, huh? Re-election coming up. Maybe let's get this open as quick as possible. Maybe
I think it's definitely impacted by politics. I can't say that I blame him. And I say this as a person who's very cautious and concerned, because I do worry that there's going to be another spike coming. And maybe that spike will be mitigated by the number of people who have the shots. So much is unknown about this pandemic, as we've been saying for over a year. And so many of our experts jumped to some of the wrong conclusions at the start. But I definitely feel that the Pritzker crowd is feeling the heat, politically speaking. And so they said, all right, you know what? Let's loosen things up. Let's open things up.
Dragon Slayer 19. Yes, that's right. Dennis nobly using Ben as a vaccine guinea pig. You nailed it. You nailed it. Seriously, no symptoms? You're not feeling anything? You're feeling okay?
I'm like, Mikey. Remember Mikey?
He likes it.
He likes it. They give Mikey the cereal. How do you know that? That commercial is like from the 70s. Dude, you weren't even born when that commercial was on TV.
No, they brought Mikey back for a minute when I was a kid. I remember that.
Mikey is like 73 years old.
Oh, they got a new Mikey.
Oh, they bring some 73-year-old guy smoking cigarettes and drinking? Ah, Christ.
Yeah, it's me, Mikey. What do you want?
But for all of you youngsters who missed it, Mikey was the kid in a commercial. It was some cereal, and they didn't know if they liked the cereal, so they give the cereal to Mikey. Let's see if Mikey likes it. Well, with the vaccine, Dennis's attitude is, let's see if Ben keels over. And if he doesn't, I'll go get it. Every day he tests me. He does like memory tests every day, folks. This is every day before the show. So, Ben, what is the name of the newspaper you work for? And if I flunk the test, he goes, I'm not getting that vaccine.
I'm currently working on a banner, the Dr. D show, Tuesdays through Fridays.
It's tough. I'll tell you what, man, it's tough being the guinea pig with the vaccine, all right? Neighbors are coming looking up at me. Are his eyes dilating? What's 4 and 4? 8. Good. Like that. What's 8 times 8? 64. Good. Like that. What's the name of the Tribune columnist who recommended a new sound system for you? Eric Zorn. Good.
Yeah. You're good. Okay, you're good. All right, so maybe I will get this shot. I don't know. I'm just seeing it out. Ben's my guinea pig. Absolutely right. All right, so we had that breaking news to talk about. So let's go back to the city news here. It looks like a couple of Mayor Lightfoot's city council members.
Wait.
What?
I have my hand raised. I wanted to say something else.
Go ahead.
Before we lose track of this, the latest development at Trump Tower with the vaccine. I just had to get this one out.
Oh, more breaking news?
Yeah. I don't know how breaking it is because I read it in the newspaper. As I discovered from my pre-show prep with Rummana, I'm really at a disadvantage because I read news in newspapers. So Rummana's always saying, Ben, you didn't see this? It's been all over the internet. Well, I get news in newspapers. Well, it's been all over Twitter. Well, I never look at Twitter. All right. Anyway, the new element of the Trump Tower saga with the vaccine. No sooner did Lori Lightfoot say this is a blunder that can never, ever, ever be repeated, then there's a possibility that Eric Trump, Dennis's favorite Trump sibling,
it's out now. Everybody knows it. Trying to keep that between us girls, but okay.
It was really close. Every day Dennis would call me up and he'd go, today I like Ivanka the best. And then he would call me, yeah, I'm really feeling baby Trump, Donnie Jr. But for the last 2 weeks, it's been Eric Trump is my favorite Trump.
E.T., phone home.
Anyway, it turns out that E.T., Eric Trump, is some kind of muckety muck. I don't know. Like Donald Trump gives his kids different assignments. This is Chicago. This is what he thinks of you. He put the Trump Tower in Chicago. It's got his name slapped on it. This is how little he regards you. He put his son Eric in charge of it, and he's like supposed to be like the least consequential of the Trumps. I don't know if you know that, D, but like they rate the Trump siblings. Donnie's supposed to be Ivanka's the favorite one. Donnie's second. What's the third one's name? Tiffany. And then and then Barron, I guess he's somewhere on the list. So anyway, they put Eric in charge of Trump Tower. And apparently allegedly, I should say, he got a vaccinated. But the Loretto spokesman said, no, it's not true. Did not happen. So that was the breaking story. And I'm really hoping we get to the bottom of that one. That would be amazing. That would be what? The grossest symbol of the inequity of the way the vaccine's been distributed in Chicago, that Eric Trump, son of President Trump, leader of the MAGA revolution, whose chief doctrine is that the whole pandemic is a hoax and we don't need shots, somehow or other, that kid, Eric, got pushed to the head of the line to get a vaccine that was intended for people in the poorest neighborhoods who have been hit hardest. That would be probably the second most unfair thing in the city of Chicago. The first being, of course, the fact that somehow or other we've had legalized reefer for the last, how long day has it been?
Over a year.
Over a year. And they still haven't figured out a way to get a business run by a black guy a license to sell this stuff, as Vincent E. Norman and I talk about all the time when he comes on the show, even though black people bore the brunt of the war on drugs. But the good news, we don't know. They say it didn't happen, that Eric Trump got the vaccine. So, thank God that didn't happen. Anyway, had to offer up that breaking news.
All right, so more people on the live stream chat are guessing as to who our guest could be tomorrow. So let's just roll with it, huh? We got some guesses here. Chris Welch. No, it's not Chris Welch. Not our new House Speaker, Chris Welch.
Chris Welch is a legitimate guess, because he probably would come on the show as opposed to all the other politicians. I'm not going on that hippie show.
And, you know, Ben told me who it was before the show, but honestly, I forgot. So I don't even know who it is. Rich Miller. Is it Rich Miller?
No, but I got to reach out to Rich Miller. Rich Miller is it's like Dennis and I have like little crushes on Rich Miller. We think he's so good, but it's not Rich Miller.
Miss you, Rich. All right, so let's do more citywide news here. It looks like a couple of Mayor Lightfoot's city council members have made the headlines. And, well, when an alderman or woman makes the news, that means it's time for another episode of everyone's favorite made-up daily Chicago political soap opera. It's time for A Mayor and Her Alderman.
A mayor and her alderman.
I won't just turn the car around. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to kick you out, and I'm going to make you walk home.
Wow. Wow.
So we have not one, but two alderman stories to discuss. First, advocates celebrated when, after a years-long battle with the Woodlawn childhood home of Emmett Till, the 14-year-old Chicagoan whose lynching lit fire to the civil rights movement, finally gained landmark status with plans for a museum devoted to Till's story. Similarly, supporters cheered Monday when a Bronzeville home that had once been the Phyllis Wheatley Club and Home, a historic settlement house established by black suffragettes in the early 1900s, got a stay of demolition, plans calling for it to become a women's history museum. But those spearheading such efforts to honor black heritage and culture by preserving the now disappearing or decaying properties significant to that history have a new obstacle. Ben, you were talking about this story earlier today. Help us out here and coach us up here.
Yes. I feel kind of passionate about this, and I'm going to try to restrain myself because I used to, many years ago at the Reader back in the 90s, I did a lot of landmark preservation stories. And one of the things that struck me, so much of the history of Chicago is just being obliterated. And again, as I always say, I'm not from Chicago. I was not born here. I was not raised here. But I came here. I studied Chicago history and significant homes. Like I'll give the one I always talk about where Fred Hampton was murdered. And Mark Clark was murdered on the near west side of Monroe. These are in danger of being torn down. That one hasn't been, but I'm just saying it's like these great moments in Chicago history, for good or bad, occurred, or some famous person lived there. And there's the home of the Hansberry family, Lorraine Hansberry's family's home that her father fought restrictive covenants, Carl Hansberry. And so that home should be preserved. All these houses where great Chicago figures lived when they were young. I think they should be preserved. so that history is that we have an understanding of what happened in our city. And what happens in Chicago is there's relentless change. There's redevelopment where it's gentrification. Buildings get torn down. They put up new, larger McMansions or condos. They call it progress. They call it economic development. But history is lost. Or there's just decay. Property falls apart, gets boarded up, and eventually gets torn down because it's an eyesore. Either way, they're destroying so much of Chicago's history. When I first moved to Chicago, way back when in the 80s, I did a story. I went around with some preservationists all throughout the city, and they were marking buildings by their value. You know, I think red was the most valuable building, either for its architectural significance or its historical significance. Someone famous lived there. So I think as much as possible, we should try to hold on and preserve this history. And I don't think the city does a good job, to put it mildly, of doing such. And so now there's individual entrepreneurs who are buying up property and want to turn it into museums, places that tourists might want to visit. God help, but we try to promote tourism in the city by preserving what it is that tourists want to see. That was the old Maxwell Street fight. I'll avoid a dissertation on that. So yes, I think the Chicago should encourage this as much as possible. But D, as you read the rest of the story, a roadblock coming out of the city council. You going to read the rest of that story, or should I just tell it?
Go for it, buddy.
All right. So I think it's Alderwoman Sophia King of the 4th Ward has proposed that from now on, you cannot convert your property into a museum without getting permission of the city. So it has to go before the zoning committee, need a zoning waiver. Lord knows what kind of obstacles would be encountered. You could have other residents on the block saying, I don't want people coming to this area to look at this building. It's just a residential community. We don't need like a tourist, busloads of tourists, et cetera, and so forth. So yeah, one more obstacle, D, to preserving Chicago's past and preserving things that are worth remembering. And so I'm kind of hoping that this bill gets watered down, to tell you the truth. I don't think we should put another impediment on property owners turning their property into historically significant buildings.
All right, so that was our first alderman's story. Now to the second. The second involves maybe the most feared thing in all the city of Chicago. The boot.
Oh, yeah. Saw this.
Alderman Daniel Espada, Ben of what ward?
Come on. One.
That is correct.
Loneliest number one. Is the loneliest number one. Sorry.
What a nerd. Daniel Espada demanded citywide standards for private booting as aldermen debated the pros and cons of allowing local merchants to contract with private companies to patrol lots and prevent motorists from parking in spaces reserved for their customers. Espada said he understands the, quote, need for enforcement of private property rights related to parking spots. What concerns him is the, quote, lack of formal appeals process for motorists booted on or towed from private parking and the barrage of resulting complaints from motorists demanding that he intervene. We have a quote here from Espada, quote, if the city wishes this private booting practice to continue as an alternative to towing, it would be beneficial to consider an equal citywide licensing process for all wards and a citywide appeals process that would be uniform and allow residents a chance to have their complaints assessed in an equal, formalized manner. Espada said he asked the license committee to do what it did Wednesday, make his ward the 18th to ban private booting, only after a private booting company operating in his ward refused to give motorists a verbal warning.
I'm all over the map on this one, Dazed. I've written so many stories down through the years about these kinds of deals. I've had business leaders debate me on it. Mark Thomas, who ran the alley, this is his thing. I wrote an article about this, like, gosh, I was 20 years ago, something like that. He was vehement. He could give you like an hour on why booting was necessary for for small businesses to operate. You had to keep traffic flowing. You keep in a parking lot. You couldn't let people just to go in a parking lot and just sit there forever. You had to give them an incentive to force them out, so to speak. Otherwise, there would not be enough customers coming into the store, and stores would be hampered. So I listened to him. And then on the other hand, some of these booting operations, the total con job. I don't know. Well, you don't have a car. So I've had I remember going into this one restaurant, it'll remain unnamed. Had a little parking lot in the back, and enjoyed a delicious lunch, as I recall. I had chicken soup. My memory serves me correctly.
Great story.
And I think I had the cream soda. It was delicious.
Well, you know how to keep these listeners engaged, boy.
Yeah, I met somebody. We discussed this, that, the other thing about politics. I went back to my car, and it was booted. Hey! And the guy who booted it was like, well, I got to see some proof that you went to one of these legitimate establishments. So it's a good thing I had my receipt from the restaurant. What if I had thrown it away?
Ooh.
Well, it would have cost me $100 to get the boot off. So some of these guys, like gangster stuff. Just saying. So Laspada, I'm kind of with you on this one. See, D, I'm like, on one hand, I listen to Mark Thomas, then I listen to Laspada. I don't know. The alderman pays the price. This is why I believe in alderman prerogative. If the alderman's going to take the heat for the position that he or she takes, he thinks it's in the best interest of the community, so be it. So I guess I'm with, when all is said and done, D, I'm with Laspada on this one.
So you have gotten the boot.
Oh, yeah. Several times.
I think I've shared this story on the show before, but I had a friend who got the boot twice, and each time he sawed that bastard off. Sawed it off in the middle of the night, threw it in his trunk, and kept going. Like, oh my God.
That is hilarious.
No, one time.
How do you saw off a boot?
Yeah, he waited till like 2 or 3 in the morning when everyone was sleeping. It was just trying to saw the thing off. He got it off, threw it in his trunk. Then the other time it happened, he kept driving with it on and got to a little private parking lot and just sawed it off again. Like, oh my God.
I got to give him a lot of credit.
Really?
I never thought about saw. Well, I couldn't saw it off because the attendant was right there. No, I'll never forget coming out of that restaurant and seeing that. I go, you're kidding me, right? Well, we have no proof, sir, that you and any of these establishments that control this parking lot. So without proof, you're gonna have to pay this $100 fine. I'm like, what is this? You have no proof that I wasn't. I'm starting to have this debate with this guy. You have no proof that I wasn't in any of these businesses. Anyway, the happy ending, D. I had a receipt, and he took the boot off. So I could see why it turns into fights. There was this, oh my God, there was this parking lot on, it was on the north side, Clybourne, right around Clybourne and North Avenue. And it was one of the most complicated parking lots I've seen, because it was a fairly large parking lot that serviced all these different stores that were in a mall. But following on this, it was subdivided. So like different sections of the parking lot were intended to service different stores. So like, I don't know, like the Best Buy, I'm making that. I don't even know if there's a Best Buy. But if you were in parking lot A, you could go to Best Buy. But if you were in parking lot A, you could not go to Binny's. Okay. So there would be guys like you pull in. Most people didn't know this. They didn't bother to look at the sign that says parking lot servicing Binny's, Best Buy, and Billy Bob's. They would just park, go to the store. And the parking lot attendant would watch, see, he didn't go to Binny's. He went into Best Buy, and they'd slap the boot on. And the people would come out, what? And the parking lot guys, you didn't read the fine print on the Suddenly the parking lot guy's like an attorney. You didn't read the fine print. People be yelling, I swear to God, I'm going to get my gun. God, man, I don't know. Guys, maybe we're going to reconsider that whole parking restriction thing.
And listeners, hey, if you saw off your boot, you did not hear that on the Ben Joravsky show, all right? Keep our names out of your mouth, please. But there it was, another episode 417 of everyone's favorite Chicago political drama. Oh, all that drama there. We got the sirens there. A mayor and her alderman.
A mayor and her alderman.
I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think. If you think we
No offense, well, fuck you then. Who are you to tell me I'm full of shit?
Calm it down, guys.
I don't know how many times I can hear that. It's just Dennis did it, by the way, folks. The pre-show prep, Dennis recited that. Yes, from memory.
Oh, I bet everyone on the live stream chat can cite that exact quote.
Recite.
I want an
He
answer.
recited
It's
it.
not something you ignore. Wait. I want an answer. It's not something you ignore. I think you're 100% full of shit is what I think. Well, no offense. Well, fuck you then.
The no offense part. I love it.
Yeah.
Raylo, love the no offense. Okay. No offense.
Well, since you said no offense, I am not offended that you said F you to me.
And so then Raylo goes, okay. Now, can we just lower the percent that I'm full of shit from, let's say, like 100 to 65? How about 65%? I think you're 65% full. That's not so bad. All of us are like at least 50%.
Dragon Slayer 19 on the live stream chat says, maybe if we had sufficient public parking infrastructure and not privatized parking meters, this wouldn't be an issue.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on the privatized parking. You're absolutely correct. Well, this is something that's so wild. I can't even say this in good conscience because I haven't been on a public transportation in a year, D. A year. I was going to say if we had a really great public transportation, maybe people wouldn't be driving so much. But D, I haven't been on a train. Wait a minute. You know what? I didn't tell you this, Dennis. I'll be taking a train in about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Everybody
Yeah.
look for the paranoid guy in the corner.
I have no choice but to get my second shot. I have to take the train.
Look for the fella in the hazmat suit. That'll be Ben. Get an autograph. Get that book autographed, huh?
Yeah, I'll be autographing books in my hazmat suit. I'm going to wear a hazmat suit on that train, absolutely. When I get that second shot, going on the train. Yeah, we didn't discuss this. Yeah, Ravinia is going to have a schedule for baby boomers. Ravinia, baby boomers' favorite place to frolic.
Oh, yeah. I meant to mention that. I had that in the news. I knew you'd be thrilled about it. Yeah, Ravinia coming back.
I am so happy. I'm going to take my picnic and go to Ravinia, okay? There, all right?
If you ever want to know if you're getting old, just look at the list of performers at Ravinia, and if you're like, oh, my God, that sounds great, you're old. It happened to me. It happened to me.
Yes, it does. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by the groups that come to Ravinia. Like 50 Cent was at Ravinia. You know, I'm an old guy. I'm like, oh, 50 Cent is like young people's music. It's at Ravinia? He's at Ravinia? I'm like, Jill Scott was at Ravinia. Like, well, Jill Scott's for young people. What's happening, D, is that Generation X is getting older. And now their favorite performers are in the Ravinia. I always thought Ravinia was like where I would go. Me and other baby boomers, I've seen Smokey Robinson there. I've seen Diana Ross there. I've seen Jill Scott, The Roots.
Hey, remember that time you interviewed the guy from Ravinia?
Oh, my God. This is the old days, ladies and gentlemen. When I was working for a radio station, I can't remember the call letters.
Well, that's WCPT 820. They fired you, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that one. So they cut a deal with Ravinia. They're getting free tickets, and they would bring on the director. What was the director's name? He acted like
I know the name. Should I say it? Wells Kaufman.
Oh, Wells. Yeah, that was his name. So Wells Kaufman said, oh, I really, really, really want to be on your show, Ben. It's one of my favorite shows, which I'm pretty sure he never listened to it once. And so I can't wait to be on your show and discuss our great lineup. And the day of the show, all of a sudden, I have a very important plane to catch. So they gave me his assistant, Billy Bob. I'm like, hi, I'm Billy Bob, and I really don't know anything. Great. I know they love my show. I guess the writing was on the wall, D. You know, I should have known there and then. I wasn't for long at that station. when Wells Kaufman ditched me and gave me Billy Bob.
Hey,
Yeah,
you know, it's water under the bridge, guys. We'd love to have you as a sponsor. Come on and read that summer lineup on the Ben Joravsky Show. Become a sponsor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd be cool with that.
Come on, Ravinia. Come on now. I actually go there. All right? Not like a certain Scott Duff who only takes free tickets. I did not say that.
Oh, my God. My God. I took I went to Bin Folds and Cake. That was the one time I went to Ravinia. It was a great show. But then I knew, I was like, wow, I'm old.
Confession to make. I have no idea who Ben Folds is, nor do I know who Cake is. Although I did see his younger brother, Cupcake.
All right, guys. We're just going to stop it there. We're done. Remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more at chicagoreader.com or wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Our interview with Troy LaRaviere is posted, and as always, it's fantastic. Go check it out if you've yet to. chicagoreader.com/Joravsky or wherever else you download podcasts. You can find us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You could always send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com. Leave us a message, and there's a good chance we will read that message on our program. And you can call the Ben Joravsky Show. Say what? It's true. 708-658-4788. The number again, 708-658-4788. We would love to hear from you. Leave us a voicemail. Anything you want to do. Prank call us. That'd be fun. We haven't had a good prank call yet on the voicemail. So, hey, I'm reaching out to you. Prank the Ben Joravsky Show. 708-658-4788. All right, I am reaching out to Rummana Hussain right now, and when we come back, well, we're going to talk with her. It's a Thursday Rummana Rundown. Don't go anywhere. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. We are live from my apartment in Ben's attic.
That is correct.
I want an answer. I want an answer.
That is correct.
I want an answer.
All right, hour number 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show is brought to you in part by SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, the Chicago Federation of Labor, and the Chicago Reader. Benny J, take it away.
Every Friday, Rummana Hussain, editor columnist for the Sun-Times, joins us. But you're saying, wait, it's Thursday, not Friday. Why is she here? Well, because she was very accommodating. There was another guest. And Rummana, let's not name that guest. Now we're doing it as a mystery guest. Or not, I know you know who that guest is. But that guest had to move from today to tomorrow for complicated reasons. Rummana was very accommodating. So thank you very much, Rummana, for being accommodating. And but you know what? In some ways, the timing is perfect because, folks, Rummana Hussain wrote a brilliant column for the Bright One today for the Sun-Times. I'm holding it up. I have the real newspaper. For me, it's not a real thing until it's in the newspaper, but you can read it online as well. City Council resolution denouncing discrimination in India should be a no-brainer. And I'll read you the lead. It's a great lead. I was in pigtails and braces watching an Independence Day celebration in my mother's hometown in India when a girl who looked like me decided I was inferior after I told her my last name. Quote, Muslim, she said dismissively. turning to her friend. This was back in 1983, and luckily I wasn't physically beaten like the boy recently who revealed his and his father's Muslim name after drinking water inside a Hindu temple. But the girl's tone had just enough venom to relay spite. Rummana Hussain in today's Sun-Times. I urge everybody to check out the column. Rummana, you used your own personal story there to get at the violence and the prejudice that exists in India toward Muslims. And then you brought it home to the city of Chicago. So take it away and explain what went down.
I mean, first of all, I should tell everybody, I should tell you the opposition of this resolution. When I contacted some of the individuals, they were telling me, they're like, well, this is my home country. And I told them, it's a country, it's my parents' country too. That's where they were from. So people like assume, one of the fallacies, or I guess misconceptions a lot of people have, is that even though Muslims are a minority in India, there's a lot of us there. I think it's the second most biggest population of Muslims in the world. So whenever people like meet me and they see that I'm a brown person and I'm like, oh, I'm Indian, and they're like, yeah, but you're Muslim, shouldn't you be Pakistani? And I'm like, no, I'm not Pakistani. There are Muslims in India. So I'm someone who has parents who were born in India, and I've been taken back there many times. And I can describe what's happening in India is pretty much what has happened in the United States, where this unchecked racism against certain groups. And it's, one thing I should point out is the current ruling party in India. It's a right-wing party. It's called the BJP, and they're very anti-Muslim. It's a very nationalistic group where they think India should be just for Hindus. And so they are, Muslims are the biggest minority, so we're the biggest obstacle for them. So there's been a lot, the last couple of years, I've seen, anecdotally, I've seen it getting worse every time I go to India. And so just the rhetoric started off, and now it's kind of attitude and actions of people where there's murders of Muslims. Cows are considered sacred in Hinduism, but most places in India you can't eat beef, but there are some Muslims who kind of sneak in beef, just like people sneak in alcohol in Muslim countries. And so they might be eating beef, and so if people suspect them of eating beef, there's like mobs killing them. And in a lot of cases, people aren't charged with any crime. There are some people who are. So there's all these like little incidents. Muslims have been in India for a long time, and a lot of things related to Muslims are taken off, like brochures, including the Taj Mahal, which was built by a Muslim emperor. They didn't give any reasons. There's one thing if they said, like, this emperor did this, this, and this, and that's why we're taking this down, similar to the way statues are being taken down in the United States, but it wasn't. It's because it's a Muslim created, artifact or something that, a lot of people see. So a lot of things are taken off history books. So it's just this campaign of anti-Muslim biasness. So anyway, I got contacted by a lot of people from the South Asian community, and this isn't just Muslims. I actually talked to one gentleman about this situation, and he's a Hindu American, and he's the one that told me all, and he's somebody that backed this resolution. So this resolution. Wait,
time out. Let's just back up and explain the resolution that you. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I know there's a lot of things going on in this column. That's what I was telling my husband. I was like, there's so many things going on. It's kind of hard to write. It's hard to explain, especially people who don't know that much about India. So this resolution was brought by a group of a coalition of mostly Indian Americans. There are many different religious groups, including Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, and Sikhs. And they came up to Alderman Maria Haddon. This is in the summer. And they said, in light of India's Independence Day, which is in August, they said, we'd like to present this resolution because we want to say what's happening in India is wrong and it goes against India's constitution. And so they contacted Alderman Haddon. And the resolution basically, originally honored India's Independence Day, and then it said what's happening in India is wrong. It just condemned, and it kind of listed a long list of things that the Prime Minister Modi has unveiled, or kind of laws that he's enacted in the last couple of years. And why they're wrong. And it wasn't really that long of a resolution. It was probably about 3 pages or maybe less. Anyway, there was a group of Indian Americans who caught wind about the resolution, and they were offended by it. They were offended that anybody was calling out the BJP and Modi. And so there was this campaign to get this resolution kind of knocked off. And so it's kind of like they went back and forth. The mayor's office negotiated the language, helped in the negotiations of the language. And so as a result, what the ending resolution is, it's like a less than 2-page resolution. Basically, there's 2 paragraphs in there that the city council is expected to vote on next week. One paragraph is from Alderman Joe Biden's website about this law. It's called the Citizens Amendment Act, which is discriminatory towards Muslims, and I can explain that in a little bit. And this national registry that was taking place in the northeastern state of Assam, and I can explain that too. So basically, those are both policies that are discriminatory towards Muslims, and I can explain a little bit more about them. So there's that one paragraph, and this other paragraph from this like human relation or international, this U.S. Human Rights Commission. I think I'm saying it right. Whatever, but I'm probably giving the wrong name. But it's a U.S. group basically telling India to respect the rights of all and condemn anybody who, incites violence against protesters and journalists. Those are the 2 paragraphs. Anyway, there's still a lot of people against the resolution itself, and that includes this group from Carroll Stream that is represented by Alderman Joe Moore, who Maria Hadden actually defeated in 2019. So it's kind of interesting as a little twist there. Joe Moore is working as a lobbyist, and I did call him, and he guided me towards the gentleman that I quote, the doctor that I quote, who is opposed to the resolution. And I'm starting to get, I should tell you right before I got on the show, I'm starting to get emails from people who are against the resolution. Should tell you, one guy, in light of the Atlanta shootings, he goes, while we Asians are in pain, why inflict more pain on this by introducing this resolution? So people are using the Atlanta shootings as they're saying that Maria Hadden is like causing more pain in Asian community by calling out India. So it's a very interesting thing. I have to say that most people on city council, if there was a resolution denouncing Trump, they would have no problem with it. One of the things anecdotally that I know is that a lot of people who support Modi are also Trump supporters. And it's just interesting that they're bowing down to the interest of people who probably support Trump and his policies and are worried about it. I mean, my guess is, reading between the lines is that these are donors or people who are suddenly throwing money at these different politicians. And I just think it's kind of sad that it took us so many months just to get a resolution like this passed. I know it's like a symbolic resolution. It doesn't really change what is happening in India. And some of the people who are against the resolution told me, they're like, well, why not have a resolution on this country or that country? Bring it on. Nobody's stopping you. The thing is, it's a symbolic resolution just saying that this is wrong, and it doesn't really jibe with the ideals of this city or the country of the Constitution of India. So I just thought it was kind of disheartening that this is a resolution that is symbolic, and it's taking us months to figure out what language is appropriate. And this is at a time when we are re-examining the whitewashing of our past. And why do we have to whitewash the future? The present. So I felt a lot of emotions about it, just as an Indian American Muslim, and just as someone who was born in the city of Chicago, who lives in the city of Chicago, that this is so difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult. And I know I probably explained it I tried to explain it in a way that people who don't understand that much about India can understand it in the column.
Well, I feel that people who've been listening to you on the show over the last 2 years are familiar with these issues. This is, I think, the introduction for many Sun-Times readers who do not also listen to the show. We've talked about the hostilities by the Modi administration in India toward Muslims, the nationalism in that country, the connection between Modi and Trump, the rally that was held in Houston earlier last year where Modi was there, Trump was there, and this sort of the uncomfortable position that many representatives, Democrats, are in because they support Modi, and yet their constituents are against Trump. So there's that conflict. And all this boiled into this resolution that was going to condemn discrimination against and harassment against Muslims in India, and the politics of India came into the Chicago City Council. And I'm sure, Rummana, most aldermen know. I mean, I'm not insulting them. They're not paying attention to what's going on in India. They got enough issues dealing with what's going on in their wards, and suddenly they have conflicting people calling them on the phone going, don't listen to this. They don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And the alderman's, what am I supposed to do? I want to get along with everyone. And then you got Joe Moore, who, as far as I know, has never been, knows nothing about India. You know, Joe Moore, my old friend, the alderman of the 49th, former alderman of the 49th Ward, he used to be an independent, then fell in love with Mayor Daley and Mayor Rahm. He loved Mayor Rahm, ladies and gentlemen. Don't put a resolution in there condemning Mayor Rahm, Rummana. Joe Moore will be on your phone. Just kidding you, Joe. So anyway, it was a really enlightening story about how Chicago is not exactly the best venue to deal with the complicated international issues. I would love to hear your response to what that gentleman, whoever it was, I don't know the dude's name, who, or maybe it was a woman, I thought you said it was a man, but anyway, I sent you an email, called you up, whatever it was, to say, how dare you?
Yeah.
Inflict more pain. Go ahead.
I have to say, like, I was telling my mom about the article, and one of the things I know that journalists are another group of people that the BJP has cracked down on. And one of the things that scares me is, like, will I ever be able to go back to India again? I shouldn't. So I was kind of worried. I'm like, I hope a certain group of people doesn't see my article, but I shouldn't say that because I want to say what's right and what I believe in, because that's more important to me at the end of the day. And if I'm not able to go to India, it just proves my point with the article. But anyway, so I got 2 emails so far. I'm probably going to get a few more. One gentleman is basically just saying that, you know, you're one-sided. And I'm like, this is an opinion piece if you didn't read this. So I'm going to send that. So the second guy, I didn't even get a chance to respond to him. My husband, Mick, your friend, told me, why even respond? I'm like, because I'm just so annoyed at the arguments that this person's making. But to say that to use the Asian American pain of what happened in Atlanta, to say that this is inflicting more pain, like, why can't you call out what's wrong as something wrong? And they're saying that Haddon is using this as a political tool. This is just a resolution. This is a piece of paper. You're the ones that are making it into a longer political issue by butting into it. So I don't know. I think I will respond and say that I don't think this has anything to do with what happened in the shooting in Atlanta. And this happens to do, you know, and if you want to propose a resolution for another country, nobody's stopping you. And I put this in my column. I doubt that if the government of Pakistan was called out in a resolution about the discrimination against minorities there, I don't think anybody in the city council would care if somebody from Pakistan or a Pakistani American from a different, like, suburb or different, like, state, because there was, you know, one of the gentleman that I quoted in the interview, he sent me this like 4-page rebuttal of the resolution from a group in New Jersey. So I doubt that any alderman would really care what anybody from Pakistan would have to say. So I'm just saying this also plays into the bigotry of what people think is acceptable from which country. India has always been praised as this country of, like, democracy. Whenever people in the West talk about India, they're like, oh yeah, the world's largest democracy. And, you know, my friends from Pakistan especially always laughed at that. They're like, oh God, I hate when Americans always act like India's like this, like, great country where everybody's treated equally, when it's not true. And that's, like, you know, that's what the United States too. We've been talking about that. So, you know, people think that anything that happens in India cannot be as bad as what's happening in Pakistan or the way people treat people in Pakistan. So it's just this double standard. And I think that when Muslims are victims, people are kind of like hemming and hawing about what to say because they're so confused, because often Muslims are painted as the villains. And so now when you have Muslims being the victims, everybody's like, oh, I'm confused. And it's not, and it's not that confusing. You pick up a paper or read, you know, and that's and that's the thing.
Your imitation of the confused person has just made me laugh. I'm sorry. So did the one thing I have to make clear, because I can't remember, did the resolution pass? Yeah,
No.
Actually pass the Chicago City? Go ahead.
So when I was first told about it, it was actually, and it's really funny. Do you know Michael Shannon, the actor?
Yeah, well, I don't know him, but I know who he is. Yeah, yeah.
anyway-
Mike, hey, Mike, have a beer with me. Come on.
So, the funny thing is this resolution, I was told about it by my husband, Mick, who's not, clearly Mick is not an Indian American, but he's the one that told me about it. He's like, hey, Alderman Haddon is proposing this. And I didn't think anything of it because honestly, I thought it would just pass. And then I think like 3 weeks ago, so this resolution got bounced around. It was first, I think, introduced in the city council, and they're like, no, we can't have this. Once certain people who opposed it got wind of it, they're like, they wanted it off. So then I got kicked back to the Health and Human Relations Committee. I hope I'm mentioning the committee right. But anyway, so all of a sudden, Michael Shannon shows up on the Zoom chat or whatever. The city council, whatever venue they have it or whatever live stream they have it on. And he's like defending this resolution, Michael Shannon, the actor. And so Mick's like, did you see somebody tweeted about, they're like, Michael Shannon is defending a resolution that's calling out human rights violations in India. So I was like, Michael Shannon. And I was getting all confused. And then my some people that I know who are Indian started telling me about it. And they're like, did you hear about this resolution and all this drama that's going on? And I'm like, no, but I heard Michael Shannon was there. I think Michael Shannon's a friend with someone who backed the resolution. I think that's what it was.
Oh, okay. So what was Michael Shannon?
Yeah, I was getting confused. I was like, what's Michael Shannon have to do with India? But he's defending the resolution. Yeah. Anyway, so people started texting me and emailing me about it. And so then they're like, do you think anybody would be interested in covering it? And I can tell you that I knew that any other reporter that wasn't Indian would probably just be confused by all of this and would not really get it. So because I knew all the intricacies, I'm like, when is this supposed to pass? So the committee meeting was on Thursday. They're like, oh, it's supposed to pass on a meeting tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, that's I don't have time to write something about that. But anyway, lo and behold, Alderman Brookins asked for it to be tabled. And that was one of the things I wanted to call Alderman Howard Brookins. I wanted to call him and go, why did you have tabled this resolution? And it was back, the tabling of the resolution was backed by Alderman Ed Burke and Ray Lopez. And so I called Brookins twice, 2 or 3 times. I've called everybody on this like 2 or 3 times and then get back to me. He never got back to me. So I have no idea. So then I was told, oh, it's not going to be kicked until March 24th. It's supposed to be on the agenda for next week, but let's see what happens. So it hasn't been passed yet, but I thought it'd be good to get it in before it's going to be considered again.
Yeah, no, well done. And I'm surprised Howard Brookins didn't call you back. Or I guess I'm not surprised, but he should call you. Come on, Howard Brookins, 21st Ward Alderman. Rummana's married to Mick Dumke. You love Mick Dumke, okay? See, welcome to my life, Rummana. Can I just say this? I said that the name, if they made a TV show about my collaboration with Mick Dumke, it would be Everybody Likes Mick, okay? So they go, why can't you be more like Mick? You know how many times I've heard that? He's a nice guy. Why can't you be more? So now you're experiencing a little of that firsthand.
I should tell you the story. I called Alderman Moore. And I told him, I'm like, wow, I got your number from my husband. I know he knows you, Mick Dumke. And you know what former Alderman Moore said? He goes, oh, my condolences. So.
That's guy humor.
Yeah.
Guy humor. Your husband. Guys will do this. So like, they think this is a standard guy joke. So they come up to a man and a wife. They know the man, they're just meeting the wife, and they go, why would a beautiful woman like you marry a dork like him? They think that's funny. You know, I mean, it's like, I don't know, guy humor. It's, oh my guy. Powerful piece. I urge everybody to read it. You want to know how politics works in the city of Chicago, and they venture into something they think is a gimme. Oh yeah, we'll pass this resolution. It's the right thing to do. Everybody will love us. They don't really know the issue, and next thing you know, there's 2 sides calling them up. Now they're in a panic. They really don't know what to do. You got the mayor's office. Like the mayor of Lori Lightfoot doesn't have enough to do. They're negotiating this resolution, taking this paragraph out, moving this paragraph in. Does that appease you? You probably have congressmen on the phone. Don't pass that resolution. Got it. You know. So welcome to Chicago politics. India, Muslims, Hindus, Pakistanis. It's an interesting place. I urge everybody to check it out. And the column broke Geez, the day after the shootings in Atlanta, and I know I wanted to talk to you about the shootings in Atlanta. 8 people killed, 6 of them Asian Americans. A man has been arrested, a 21-year-old white guy, and I sent you his homework assignment, Rex Hupke's column in the Tribune. I thought it was an excellent column. And you had already articulated many of the same points to me that Rex did, so I guess great minds think alike, yours and Rex Hupke. About the different standards. And listen, I got to press, I have to say this up front. Innocent until proven guilty, obviously. Okay. That goes without saying in our system of justice. But the cops are basically saying, this is the guy who did it. And then they go, he had a bad day.
Yeah.
Guy killed 8 people, Rummana. 8 people. There's a couple other, I think, in the hospital, seriously wounded. 8, and he had a bad day? Do you imagine, like, the LA police with OJ? Hey, he had a bad day. You know, it happens. I mean, I help me, Rummana. I need help with this. Go, help.
You have to help me. You have to help me because I am I'm at a loss of words. And, you know, this year with the coronavirus, I hope I'm quoting stats I've seen, but violence against Asian Americans has risen. You know, you have someone like the former president saying that this is a China virus. So you have people going after Asian Americans and, you know, calling them slurs, and it's just left and right. And this is, you know, particularly focused on the East Asian American community. And so as someone, you know, who's Muslim, I know I hate to bring it up again, but I could probably kill someone and it could be over something that has nothing to do with my religion or my culture. I could just be having a bad day, as this guy said. Like I could have just didn't like the way this guy looked at me and I pull out my gun. I don't have a gun, sorry. But I'm just giving, this is an anecdote, people. I pull out a gun and shoot him. Trust me, they would call me a terrorist just based on my name. And they, you know, as soon as people would see this, even reporters would be like, see my name and be like, I got charged with a crime. And they're like, was this terrorism related? Everything is terrorism related when you're brown or have a Arabic name, Middle Eastern name. And whenever you're a white guy, it's a mental illness. With this guy, it's a sexual addiction. And that may be true. He said that, you know, he wanted to, you know, these places, like, I guess, triggered him, like these massage or spa parlors. But if I went and suddenly shot a bunch of white people in churches, I think a light bulb will go up on people's heads. But nobody's kind of connecting. Like, you know, I think it's a job of journalists. Like, you know, you have white people making determinations about what a hate crime is. And most officers, police officers making comments like this are white people. So it's like, I think journalists need to point out certain things in the context of, well, what's been happening in this country, even if like the police doesn't call it a hate crime and said that this guy is just having a bad day. I think law enforcement and government officials need to be called out. So I think it's very triggering for a lot of Asian people. So a lot of Asian women, East Asian women are talking about how they're fetishized, and they've been fetishized by the American culture for so long, how they're objectified and treated. And a lot of Asian people are just talking about how they're just sick of people of color being painted as one thing whenever they're arrested with a crime. But whenever there's a white person charged with a crime, there's all this need to humanize him. And, you know, it's okay to humanize people and say that, hey, you know, we thought he was a nice, nerdy guy and he goes to church. But if I said I went to a mosque, they would go to my mosque and start examining what exactly happened at the mosque. What was said at this church? That's my question. It's like, why is that a good thing? And if I got arrested, going to the mosque would be a bad thing. So it's similar to the way I look at the way journalists and other people treat white Trump supporters. Like, oh, they're misunderstood and, you know, they're cute and cuddly and they're just confused. You know, and I understand that. Like, yeah, you should humanize them, fine, but then humanize other people as well. There's never that knee-jerk reaction to humanize other people who are arrested for crimes as much as there is for a white person. And this includes white women too. I know, like we said, white women always think they're not part of the problem, but they are.
And so it's like whenever a white guy gets arrested, now it's like going to be sexual addiction. It's now mental illness is also sexual addiction is also added to the list. So it's just, I think that's what was triggering for a lot of people is that, or a lot of Asian Americans, is that does every time a white person get arrested for a crime or charged with a crime, there's this need to kind of put it, not put like the blatant, blatant comments that are put onto other people or blatant descriptions that are put into other people of color when they're arrested. So I think there was a lot of good discussions. I don't know if I know you're not on Twitter that much, but a lot of people were on Twitter talking about it. The Asian American Journalists Association actually put out a guideline for journalists, and I'm sure they put out a statement about the shootings and how journalists should be handling this. And I think given light of what's going on in our country, I think it's good to listen to these different journalist organizations about how to cover events like this. And I even saw someone said that, when broadcasters mention the names of these victims, it's good to learn the pronunciation of these names before people go on air and try to pronounce it, just to be respectful. And, and there could be a language issue, but that also shows, like, in terms of finding out who these victims are, because we don't know that much about these victims right now. And that just proves that we need more journalists. We need to diversify our newsrooms, because it's like we need people to know how to talk to different communities of color, because a lot of people are pointing out that, we don't know who these people are, who these victims are. Usually when people are killed in a mass shooting, we know so much about them, or we learn about them. And people are saying, well, maybe it's a language problem. Well, that's why you need to hire more journalists of color and, more Asian Americans or more Latino Americans and African Americans, et cetera, et cetera.
Rummana, when I was listening to you on that riff, I was thinking of the book that we both read this summer, Isabel Wilkerson's Cast. And it's a tremendous book. I urge everybody to read it. And it's not a book that, I mean, I feel as though I just got to say this. I don't think it's an accusatory book. I think it's an explanation. It explains. Yeah. So it's not like saying you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I think you just got to back off sometimes from that reactionary attitude to criticism and just think about what the critics are saying. And sometimes it's painful to do. But what Isabel Wilkerson, one of her main themes is that we are all of us, absolutely every single person in this country, white, black, Asian, Gentile, Jewish, et cetera, and so forth, has these notions that are like baked into their brains from the moment they're born about who people are and what, empathy with one group of person and hostility or fear to another group of person, another group. And essentially what we're seeing with these incidences is that in many cases, whether they realize it or not, white police officers have an empathy with white people that they've arrested for horrific crimes, charged with horrific crimes. And they don't have that empathy for a black person. And it's so obvious. It gets every moment, every significant event like this, it points out. And we see this. We see another example of this, not every single one, but in many cases, we see another example of this. And I brought up OJ. I always say you're too young to remember, but maybe you do remember OJ.
No, I remember.
The passion. Passion that white people had about the crime that OJ committed and the need for every black person in this country to criticize OJ, and it was so deep, and it was and by the way, for the record, I can't stand OJ. I didn't like him as a football player.
Well, I was a young 20-something, early 20-something when it happened, but yeah, that was an interesting reaction just to watch. We didn't understand. Like, I remember as a brown person, I remember the reactions of the African American community, which I understood, even though I felt like OJ was guilty. That was my opinion. But then, like, watching white people, their reaction to it, like, my brother was like, why are they all crying? You know what I mean? It was just like this crying because it was racially, it came down to a black man killing a white woman. And it kind of,
it kind of
And a white guy.
Or yeah, sorry, a white guy. I
There were
forgot
two
about
people killed.
Who was from the suburban Chicago, by the way. Yeah. So the Goldman family, I think they lived in Buffalo Grove for a little bit.
Right?
So, yeah, there was a Chicago connection when it happened. Yeah, poor guy. Yeah, but so it was just like watching it like from this perspective of someone who didn't belong to the African American community or the white community. It was just like I felt like white people were just like crying over it. Didn't Chris Rock say that he didn't see that many white people sad since MASH was canceled or something?
No, Chris Rock's pretty funny on this. He's gotten a lot of... Look, I just want to say this right now. Neither Rummana nor I'm speaking for Rummana and I meet myself right now, are in any way condoning those murders. They were gruesome, horrible murders. But we're just talking about the symbolic resonance of the murders and the different reactions that occurred then to what like went down in Atlanta. And I'm just saying we see it all the time. We just like people bring all their worldview, their prejudices, their angers, their hatred to these individual events of these horrific crimes, and that symbolic weight is added to them. That's what we're saying. But you know the Chris Rock joke, which I say all the time on there, where he goes, when black people are talking among themselves and white people are around, they go, yeah, of course he did it. Of course he did it.
Yeah.
Chris Rock, man, this guy's a funny guy.
But, you know,
of course he did it.
Speaking of OJ, did you ever watch the documentary on OJ?
Okay, I think we've had this conversation. I did not watch. I watched the Ryan Murphy's 8-part
no.
fictitious.
You gotta watch the documentary. It is so powerful. It is so interesting. It's about the OJ murder, but it's also about race and just what this trial meant about our culture. It's very good. Sorry.
Everybody lost their mind with OJ. Everybody lost their freaking mind with OJ, guys. Let's be realistic now. And now all these years later, David Chappelle on OJ is pretty funny too. I urge everybody to check that out. He does a whole thing about his shifting views of OJ as time has gone on. It was his last special. David Chappelle, love that man dearly. All right. Enough about this horrific stuff. I guess we should close. Oh, I just had to point out one thing. I owe this to Frank. He sent this to me in the morning, and I just want to give you a shout out, Frank. It was such a revealing story in Wisconsin. We talk about resolutions. I sent this to Rummana as well. Here in Chicago, they're like writing the resolution, rewriting the resolution, talking to the Indian council. You got Joe Moore working the phones. Okay, Joe, I hope they're paying you. And up in Wisconsin, they passed a resolution honoring Rush Limbaugh. No problem, baby. Oh my God!
Speaking of Rush Limbaugh, when he died, remember how we were talking about how I never really watched him, and you know my father passed away like in 2006, but my younger sister's like, she goes, I remember Daddy like coming home and Rush Limbaugh was on the cover of Time or Newsweek, and she could hear my dad slamming the magazine in another room and going, son of a bitch, and then she was like, oh, sorry.
Your dad swore?
and then my sister's like, she didn't know why he was swearing, but she goes, she knew it was because of what was ever on the cover of the magazine. And then she went into the room and then she sees Rush Limbaugh on the cover. So that Rush Limbaugh's death reminded her of that, that incident with my dad. And I didn't even know my dad would know who Rush Limbaugh was, but apparently he does or did.
He broke through somehow or other. Rush Limbaugh, all the things to honor in the state of Wisconsin. All right, we'll close with me giving you a shout out. I've started watching Wayne. Usually every Friday show with Rummana was a recommendation. So I started watching Wayne, your recommendation, and I'm enjoying it. It's a really weird show, but I don't know, maybe speaks a lot about me that I like it so much. But again, I'm just going to make this point. Rummana's going to accuse me of being Donald Trump. But I'm going to make my point. I am sick and tired of actors coming over from Europe and playing roles that Americans should be getting. Now, the kid does a great job as Wayne, but he's an Irish kid. And like, what? You couldn't find somebody in Massachusetts to play Wayne? And speaking of which, I just read an article about the Aretha Franklin 8-part series. A British actress is going to play Aretha Franklin. Couldn't find an actress in Detroit, huh? Aretha's from Detroit. No one in Detroit. Sorry, Rummana. I know I sound like Donald Trump. You have any recommendations you want to make before you head out the door?
Well, I know you're going to find this very lowbrow, but the Kardashians are the last season or the last part of their run is starting today. So I'm sorry, I'll admit I will be watching that. I do want to watch the 90s sitcom, show on Punky Brewster's videos. I think it's called 90s Kids or something like that. And then I do want to see on Netflix, it's called Behind Her Eyes, something to do with eyes. Bono, the lead singer from U2, his daughter's in this series, and I've been hearing some buzz about that show. I'm probably calling it wrong. I was going to look it up right before I came on the show, but I'm going to watch that. But I was going to ask you if you liked Coming to America.
Oh my God. I did a whole riff on Coming to America. So let me just say this. I'm going to do a whole show on Coming to America. I rewatched the original Coming to America with T.O. as opposed to Coming #2. Oh, you're clever, Eddie Murphy. You're a clever guy. And loved it. And then never got around to watching the new one because I watched the Grammys on Sunday. So I will watch. I'll probably watch it tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really loving Eddie Murphy. I watched this interview that Eddie Murphy did with Trevor Noah. It's so politically incorrect that I don't want to repeat what Eddie Murphy said. But I have to make a confession. I was roaring. I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan. I love the guy. I think he's a genius. And so I will looking forward to watching Coming #2 America. Have you watched it yet?
I did. Remember we talked about it? We talked about it last.
I don't remember anything.
I did see I Care a Lot. I saw that on Netflix last week.
Wait, I can't remember. We actually had a conversation about Coming to America last week.
Oh my God, we've been talking about Coming to America twice.
Rummana, you know what? It's either the age or the marijuana from the 70s catching up to me, but I completely forgot that. All right, well, I will watch it tonight, or definitely by the next time you're on the show, I will have watched it because I'm going through a whole Eddie Murphy thing. And I think I'll send to you the thing he did with Trevor Noah. It's okay if you go bet it's not funny.
Okay.
But I thought it was pretty funny. All right, Rummana, stay safe and sound. Thanks for making the accommodation for us and coming on Thursday, all right?
No problem. Take care, guys.
All right, that's the great Rummana Hussain. And any updates for me, young Dennis, before we head out the door?
Yeah, we got one update here. Rummana, on Thursday, we have a mystery guest tomorrow. Even a mystery to me. Ben told me before the show, and I'm sitting during that whole interview. I'm like, who the hell was that he said? Still can't remember.
I told Rummana who it was. And I go, I didn't mean for the mystery thing to become a mystery thing, but now it's a mystery thing. It's a mystery thing.
Right?
And I was like, oh my God, Rummana's going to blurt it out. So that's why. Did you notice that? Did you notice that? How I handle that?
That's pretty good. That was very good. What a podcast host we have here, guys. You're all lucky to have him, okay? So let's get some more guesses here on the live stream chat. Any guesses as to who this guest could be tomorrow? Ben's the only one that knows because I just don't remember. He's going to tell me after the show and I'll go, oh yeah, that's who. But so the people we've covered so far, not Darren Bailey. All right. Sorry, conservative listeners. Maybe one day it'll happen. Not Darren Bailey, not Mayor Lightfoot. It's not Capital Fax's Rich Miller. And who were some of the other guesses that we had?
Joe Biden.
Not Joe Biden. Yeah, believe it or not Joe Biden.
Or Eric Trump. Not Eric Trump.
Or Mick Dumpke. It's not Mick Dumpke. So let's get some more. Let's get some more guesses here. Earlier in the program, we had some breaking news. It was from the Chicago Sun-Times. And let's see, Governor J.B. Pritzker to expand vaccine eligibility, employ dial-like approach to reopening the state. The end seems truly to be in sight. We were talking about that earlier. And well, since then, quite a few people have responded with their thoughts on the news from Pritzker. I have some press releases. Let's see here. We'll read some of these, just like one or two, and then we'll end it out here. How about the Chicago Federation of Labor? They weighed in, Ben.
Bob Ryder, what do you have to say?
Bob Ryder, Chicago Federation of Labor President Bob Ryder released the following statement regarding the announcement of new reopening guidelines. Quote, "We applaud the Pritzker administration for taking steps today to continue the safe reopening of our economy as vaccines become more readily accessible and eligibility expands. For more than a year, union workers have sacrificed their health and safety to keep our city, county, state, and nation moving. These workers put their lives on the line every day to keep our communities safe. Meanwhile, thousands of workers sacrificed their livelihoods as entire sectors of the economy were shut down, especially in the hospitality and tourism industry. These skilled workers struggled to put food on the table, pay their bills, and keep their health care. The pain and hardship endured by so many can never be forgotten, and the debt we owe these heroes may never be repaid."
I'm with them 100% on that one. You know, these frontline workers who've been hit hardest by the virus, and I'm with them 100% on that one. I think of the CTI bus drivers. Bus drivers, those are petri dishes, those buses, you know. And I remember very early on in the pandemic, we would make jokes about how nobody was on the train and the train was still roaring past my house. And then one of my guests, I can't remember which guest, pointed out, "Duh, Ben, like frontline workers got to get to work. Duh." I was like, "Oh, you know what? Let's stop making that joke right now." And so I'm with you, Ryder. People on the front lines, and they didn't blink. They did their jobs. So nothing but love for those frontline public employees. And I'll just put it out there. I'm going to take the next step. You know, you're going to hear a lot of talk about pension reform. I saw that in the paper today. We didn't get to that. And that just means cutting pensions. So I don't know. If you're a municipal employee, you're a cop, you're a firefighter, you're a teacher, that's your retirement fund. So the same forces that killed the fair tax, the same forces that want a fair map, all these do-good government types, they're going to be trying to take away the pension money that folks earn, that they earned after a lifetime of service. I'm just saying, before we, think about our obligations are, I don't know, maybe less money for Lincoln Yards. Just saying, guys. And more money for the pensions.
All right, we have more guesses as to who this mystery guest is. Ben, if someone guesses it right, just, we'll say, "Oh, yeah, good job," all right?
I don't think anyone is going to guess it in a million years.
All right, well, let's see. We have some contenders. Rod Joy. We haven't heard from him in a long time.
No, I don't think he lives in Chicago. Wow.
That was Frank. Frank also asked Chris Kennedy?
No, Chris Kennedy. I really enjoyed Chris Kennedy's run for governor because he let the cat out of the bag when he said that Rip Rahm's planning proposals. But no, neither Rod Joy nor Chris Kennedy.
Oh, listen to this guess. Someone guessed this fella.
From the Illinois State Water Survey at the University of Illinois Prairie Research Institute, this is Illinois State climatologist Trent Ford.
For the love of God, I hope it's not Trent Ford.
I'm working on it. He's got an agent. He's kind of a hard guy to get a hold of. He's, busy guy, right? Got a lot of weather to follow.
Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss. Is it Daniel Biss?
No, Evanston Mayor-elect Daniel Biss. He put out a press release or thank you for electing me. I'm going to be jogging through the streets of Evanston. I swear to God, he said this, and if you see me, wave. And I go through Evanston all the time, and I've yet to see him. But if I see him, I'm going to roll down the window and go, "Hey, Mayor Biss, what's 3 times 3?
That'll get him on the program.
He's really good at math, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you know what? We should do this with a lot of guests. This is a great segment. So it's not Rod Joy. It's not Daniel Biss. It's not Chris Kennedy, because it's not 2018, guys. It's all the governor candidates from years ago. Dick Durbin. Is it Dick Durbin?
No.
Okay. Ben noted that it was a male, so we're going to take Susanna Mendoza out of there. Someone asked Mendoza. Someone asked Marie Newman. Not Marie Newman. No, it's not Bob Ryder.
Nope, not Ryder.
John Cass? Is it John Cass?
Johnny Cass! I'm Johnny Cass. You don't need to wear a mask. Jump shot, Johnny Cass. No millennials, that's Johnny Cash. Johnny Cass is the right-wing columnist for the Tribune who's so right-wing that he doesn't cook his meat before he eats it. I just eat it raw.
That's right-wing as hell. Oh, here we go. This is a good guess. Once again, guys, he told me who it was, but I completely forgot. Is it former Illinois Governor Pat Quinn?
God, I know, but I wish it were. I love Pat Quinn. I got to get Pat Quinn back on the show. I do two stories about him in the book. There's two stories about Pat Quinn, one that I wrote in 1987 and one that I wrote in 2016, just to show you I've been writing about Pat Quinn a lot.
All right.
No, it's not Pat Quinn, but I'm going to reach out to Pat and bring him back to the show.
A lot of people have been guessing, and you know what, Ben? Let's reward the people who stick around this long on the Ben Joravsky Show. Let's tell everybody who it is. How about that?
Wait, that takes the mystery out of it.
Well, I mean, like I said, let's reward these
guys. All right, it's nobody that any of you would, I think, know because you're not a political junkie. But if you're a fan of writing and sports, you know him. Rick Tellender is his name. He's a sports writer for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he's one of the few sports writers that delves into politics and racial issues, et cetera, and so forth. And I really wanted to get into do a show about boxing and Marvelous Marvin Hagler, who died the other day. And Rick had written a lot about Marvelous Marvin Hagler in the 80s when he was at Sports Illustrated. So I reached out to him. I know it's kind of a it's like people are like, wait, that's not politics. There's like sociological and racial and wider ramifications. And I'm going to put it to him, D. I'm not going to let him duck and dodge. I'm going to put it to him point blank. Hey, Rick, yes or no? Are the Bears prejudiced against black quarterbacks? Yes! I'm going to put it right to him. And you're going to watch such ducking and dodging. Right? Shuffling here, shuffling there.
Hold on, I got to go, Ben.
Anyway, so he's a great writer. Heaven is a Playground is one of the books he wrote. Very influential book in my life. So Rick Tellender will be here.
There it is, guys. Breaking news. Tomorrow on the Ben Joravsky Show, Rick Tellender. We would have been here all day on the live stream chat if we kept guessing.
They never guessed it, yeah.
Remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more at ChicagoReader.com or wherever else you download podcasts. You can reach us online at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can always send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com. Leave us a message. Good chance we will read your message on the air. And you can call the Ben Joravsky Show. It's true. 708-658-4788. 708-658-4788. Reach out to the Ben Joravsky Show. We would love to talk to you.
I want to thank Rummana Hussain for doing an outstanding job, as she always does. And, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of all Illinois, without whom the show would be possible. And as Rick Tellender, Rummana Hussain, and Mick Dumpke will tell you, back home in Alton, they call him Judge D. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
That is correct. That is correct.
I want an answer. I want an answer. It's not something to ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think.
State Water Survey at the University of Illinois Prairie Research Institute. This is Illinois State climatologist Trent Ford. From the Illinois